And welcome, guys. This is Dan French here. I'm with a good friend of mine here in studio. This is another version of the French Workbench podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're just going to talk a little bit today about what's happening in Las Vegas and how Las Vegas is really starting to boom. We have a lot of good information we're going to put out today. Without further ado, we're going to talk to Mr. Rick Douglas. He's a CPA. What's going on today, Rick?
What's going on, Dan? I appreciate you having me, man.
I appreciate you, man. How's things going with business right now? You guys booming still?
We are absolutely booming, man. Things are going, there's a lot going on just in the country and different changes in whether it's the tax law changes that just actually happened like 3 weeks ago, which changes things how people file, to the PPP stuff still going on. Everybody's buying a house. I mean, interest rates are great. So, all kinds of stuff going on. So keeps
you're
busy.
A busy guy. I know you have a lot of people. Did you grow up here? You grew up
born
in
and
Vegas?
raised, man. Yeah, I went to Valley High School. Yep.
Cool.
My mom still lives in the same house that I was basically born in. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. So you look at like the weather's starting to get better. I think a lot of people are out. They're starting to see Vegas. I got parents that have a house in over in Henderson, and when I was going over there a lot, I probably go over at least once every week, once every couple weeks. You would see like one after another. You'd see planes just coming, boom, boom.
Yeah.
It was literally like every 30 or 40 seconds, you would see another plane coming through. And so what's ironic now is crazy about it is now you see one, we stopped that for a while. You didn't see anything. I remember going over there was nothing. Yeah. No planes coming. Nobody was traveling, but it's starting to ramp back up. You see, I was over there this last weekend and it's like like I said, every 30 seconds, you're starting to see planes come through.
Listen, man, I tell you, if you think about it, everybody wants to get out of the house at this point. They're done staying inside. They want to move around. They realize there's some things people want to get vaccine if you so choose to do that, what have you. But man, people just want to move. They want to start doing stuff.
Yeah.
And so they're coming. And Vegas, honestly, I get it. We're still kind of shut down in some regards, but Vegas is starting to come back. People are coming. Hotels are starting to open up a bit more. And so you're starting to see that traffic come in, which is great for our valley.
Yeah.
It's great to see people actually back working again.
So if this is the first time you guys are tuning in to watch the French Workbench podcast, we put these on every week, 2 shows a week, and it's a lot about what's going on in Las Vegas. Usually on a Saturday, we'll talk a little bit more about what's happening around the city, job situation, maybe just Vegas coming back as a whole. And then on Tuesdays, we talk about professional style, episodes. We talk about CPA work. We talk about just, we have conversations with attorneys. And so there's a lot of good information out there. We talk about what's going on in the industry, what's going on in the housing market. I work with Guarantee Rate. This is a financing and real estate show, / you'll say Las Vegas of what's going on in Las Vegas. So going back to you and everybody out there, if you guys have any questions, you can always, put some comments in the comment section, or you can ask a question here. We have a chat going on right now, so if you guys want to talk or give us any insight about what your questions might be going on in Las Vegas. So, Rick, let's talk about what you're a CPA, and you've done, how long have you been a CPA?
I've been a CPA since 2007.
Okay.
So 14 years, basically. I've been in the industry about 17. So
you recently purchased a lot of Bitcoin, is that right?
I purchased some, but I actually got into some other what they call altcoins. Altcoins, yeah. There's different types. Bitcoin is kind of like the main coin. Everything else is kind of an altcoin or token or what have you.
Sure.
I actually recently, and I don't know what I'm allowed to say I got into, but one of them was XRP, which is supposed to be the platform that they want to use worldwide to actually essentially move the coin.
Sure.
Where we want to go in a very quick manner. And so I luckily got in at a good price. I kind of felt like that was the way to go last year.
So you invested quite a bit of money, huh?
I did. I put quite a bit in there.
How much did you put in there, man?
I put $40K in. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you put $40,000 in there. Now, for me, that's a little bit hard. I just talking to somebody about, they had a online wallet that was hacked and they had some money come out. So you never worried about that?
I haven't. No, I kind of felt like I went to some reputable places to be able to get buy that coin. And I have other coins too, different tokens or what have you. And I actually am a 1% owner in a new cryptocurrency company, which actually has a business model to it that I can explain at some point in time. But regardless, I haven't felt like it was going to get hacked. I bought it through Coinbase, and they have higher fees than some of the other places, but they're fairly reputable. In fact, they're going public here.
Well,
shortly.
Coinbase, man, to me is like, I kind of hate to say this, but I've invested into some Bitcoin. I think it's a ripoff a little bit because
it is.
Every time you transfer something, they're taking a portion of that.
1.5 is what they take.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's
man.
crazy. And so you can't, and it was an easy way to get in and not knowing a whole lot at the time, it was like, hey, this is the way to go. Since then, I've done my research. I listen, I figure out where to go, try to find some better rates as far as like buying and selling and that kind of stuff. There's different platforms out there. It's all real new, so they've had some problems with stuff, but I think they've tried to fix
that problem,
fix those issues.
So let me say this: you're actually somebody that you do high diving, right? You've done high diving triathlon.
I was a springboard diver in high school, college here. I actually went to UNLV on a scholarship for diving, but then that didn't really translate into swimming. But I love the pool, I love water, so. Kind of got a challenge from a buddy of mine that had a nonprofit that I'm actually the race director for this nonprofit organization, and we put on a triathlon every year it's kind of a beginner triathlon, but it's like a kids triathlon. So there's two different kids triathlons and a sprint. Yeah. So kids or adults can do the sprint triathlon. It's a legit sprint triathlon. We do it out at the Heritage Park, swim aquatic area. And that was my first one in 2014. And literally, I'm a horrible runner, by the way. I hated running. I used to make fun of runners. Literally, why would anybody want to do that? That's so dumb.
I think you get older, man. It's like for me, I never used to jog, and now it's like my thing of choice. I still do heavy weights. They're not crazy heavy, but I still jog. And I don't know what it is, man. It's my time to reset. I'll leave. I'll go for a jog, 45 an hour. and I'll just be listening to
Good for you.
Well, it's not every day. It's not every day.
Yeah, but 45 to an hour jog and doing anything running is a good workout, and that's hard to do.
It's hard to do, and I'll tell you, it's all about pushing yourself. Like, there's a lot of times where I'm walking.
Yeah.
I'm getting through it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Hey, dude, let me tell you. I could go on and on about triathlon because I think there's a lot of lessons in life, and I'm a big believer in people keeping themselves healthy. In fact, with everything that's going on, that they've proven just over this last year with the corona, I won't call it the Chinese virus, but the coronavirus. Like, people who are healthy have gone through this a lot better. I felt that health is one of the most important things. So, like, just the running part, one, for a reset in your mind, I think is super important to do. When you do that, and it's proven that, the pheromones, the things that happen in your brain when you exercise make you better.
You release endorphins, right?
Yeah.
And it almost like your body. I went riding dirt bikes the other day for the first time. I couldn't believe how long. It's probably about 6 months at least.
Yeah.
And, how I felt after that, I felt amazing. And, my lungs opened up. I was hacking everywhere. I was coughing, you know what I mean? But you know what? The thing is you want to push your body a little bit, because when you're sitting behind a desk like I do all day, you probably do the same.
Same thing.
What exercise do we really get out there, right?
I know.
So,
like so sometimes I'll, like the other night, I think it was 2 nights ago, I was like, man, I'm working all day long. I started at like 7 in the morning, and I was like, I got to go run. So I bring my gear to work. We actually have a shower. I made, my partners put a shower into the office when we bought this building. We did that. I said, hey, I want to shower because I know I'm going to go work out and I'm going to need a shower afterwards. So I was like, okay, put the running shoes on. Let me get my running gear on. I ran. I actually just recently in the last month and a half bought, I found 2 guys that are the best mechanics, best people. We opened up a bike shop.
Sure.
And the bike shop's 2.4 miles down the road from my office. So I ran down, see those guys. It's 8:30 night. They're still working.
Bike shop, huh? That's unique. Here, let me say this. So there's a lot of people. There was a situation where a lot of people were riding those road bikes.
Yeah.
Big accident. I'm not going to go into it. It's very, very sad.
Friends of mine.
Yeah, you were saying that.
Yeah.
One of the guys I know knew somebody in there. And, for me to get a road bike and for me to bike ride like that, I don't know. I'm a little leery. It's not because I feel like I would do something wrong. I would be more scared of. There's some crazy drivers in Vegas,
and that's the issue. Honestly, they're trying to bring awareness to it, but there's only so much you can do. Some people, when you're texting and driving, man, you have a tendency to go off. Or if you're impaired in driving, which is part of the reason what happened to the 5 that passed away.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Impaired driver.
Yeah.
But it's scary because I don't even like getting on the road sometimes. So I have a trainer at my house. I put my bike on and I ride.
Yeah.
So like, what is it done tomorrow? the Golden Knights will play. So I'll hop on my trainer and I'll watch the Golden Knights play, and I'll ride for about 2 to 3 hours.
So you're a Knights fan, huh?
Yeah, I'm a big time.
Are you?
Knights fan. Yeah.
You know, I couldn't get into it, man. I'm not going to just sit here and say I'm on the bandwagon. You know, I can't say it. You know, I don't know. I never really got into that. And even the Raiders, like I like the Raiders too, but I'm not just. I don't know. I just don't jump into like sports teams like that. You know, a lot of people do because maybe they didn't have anything. But you grew up here with really no sports.
There wasn't. You know, and that was what was nice is because, you know, I wasn't really into hockey because it wasn't around here.
Sure.
But I go and I think and I watch these guys and I go, man, if the hockey was in town, I would have been a hockey player because I love what it does. It's a very physical. Sport, very physical sport.
Sure.
But it has a lot of sprinting involved. So I'm more of I'm built like a sprinter. So endurance, like full Ironman triathlons it's not built for me. You know, like you're a muscle guy, dude.
Yeah.
You got some muscle to you.
I got some muscle,
and that's hard to do. But you know, hockey is like, man, it's physical and there is endurance, but it's also very much so fast twitch muscles.
Is it really?
Yeah. So like and skill and speed and agility, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, that would have been awesome to be a part of. So when I saw them coming, you know, I didn't want to be that bandwagon guy, but I also was like, man, we have a professional sports team here. Mm-hmm. I want to go watch, and then you watch it. Honestly, is in my opinion, it's the best entertainment on the Strip.
Yes,
you go and it is.
Those
Especially
things
when the house
going crazy,
is full,
right? Yeah.
it is crazy.
Yeah,
and to think you're right, you know, you're literally feet away from these professional athletes that are just some of the best in the world that are at that level, and you're like, man, these guys are amazing. It's so cool to watch. So
yeah, I mean, I would definitely try to maybe go to one of the games, but I don't know, man. It's got to give me a better draw for me. I got to be into it. You know, I don't know. There's nothing
wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing that I see, and I'm not saying I don't dislike hockey, but I just don't. I don't know the rules. It was never something I was groomed with growing up. So, but there's a lot of interesting things going on. So first off, I want to talk about what's going on with the CPA world. Now, we had a lot of issues with people that filed late. What is the new extension date? I'm just curious. What is the new extension date? What is the time period that people have? Before it was October 15th, is that right?
Yeah, October 15th. And that date is still October 15th right now, unless something came out in the last little bit, like the last day or so that I didn't see. But
so nothing's changed.
Yeah, October 15th is the date, but the date for payment, if you owe, it went from April 15th to May 17th. I
see.
So you got an extra month there. And part of that was because they changed the tax laws about 3.5 weeks ago to where the unemployment. So if you had unemployment of $10,000, up to $10,200 and you made under a certain amount, depending upon if you're single or married,
yes,
then that $10,200 was no longer taxable. So I had some people that we had filed. We didn't know this new tax law was coming. It was just kind of sprung on us.
Sure.
And we filed and like, oh, shoot, I mean, like that wasn't supposed to be included in the income. What do we do?
Yeah.
And so they've kind of come out and they said not too long ago, they said, just hang tight. We're going to work on that and try and get people their money back. And then they've kind of said, well, you might have to file an amended return to actually get that money back. So we're waiting to see what that verdict is.
So is there any new changes on the 1031 exchange? If you're an investor out there, is there any changes on that? What's the new changes that's going on? Just real quick. I don't want to go into detail.
No, 1031 exchange really, I mean, they've changed it over the last couple of years to where it's really more real property. It used to be, real estate property.
Sure.
It used to be you could do that with a vehicle. We do that all the time. You'd have a vehicle on your books, so you didn't have to. When you traded it, if you did a trade-in of your vehicle, you could do it as a 1031 exchange, not have to pick up the gain on the sale of that, and then and what have you.
Sure.
But now it's like, hey, if you trade it in, it's considered a sale. You got to pick up the gain on the sale, and then you buy this new vehicle, and however it's being taxed, you do it however it's being taxed. So that it really just went to just more real property. So in real estate profession, especially with what you have to deal with, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at just real property.
Right.
It doesn't have anything to do with your primary residence. It's not going to apply to a primary residence. It's all going to be about investment properties.
Yeah. Investment property. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Las Vegas. So first off, I want to talk about what's happening around the city. Mm-hmm. Okay. We see the city starting to boom. Now you're a native, right? Yep. And you got a lot of people around the city. You got a lot of insight about what's happening. Do you see activity levels the same or higher than pre-COVID?
Right now, honestly, I'm seeing kind of outdoor-wise even more so.
Right.
Because everybody's like, I'm done being inside. Let me get out,
Yeah.
Like, that's why, like, the bike shop for me was a good investment because the bike sales went through the roof because everybody's like, oh, we're going out, man. We mountain bikes, e-bikes, road bikes, didn't matter. Kids bikes, beach cruisers, everybody's out riding. You look at the roads and you're going to see a lot more cyclists out there. I think the kids want to get back playing soccer. You know, I got a kid playing soccer, like they couldn't wait to get back out there. But you go to the fields, like my son has a game at 4:00. You can go, and it's packed, man. There's kids everywhere. So I don't see that part is actually declined. If anything, it's just those outdoor things where people get out. Maybe it's a hiking. Maybe it is doing more running. I see more people now than I did before.
So do you have like hobbies and stuff that you do? Obviously you do bike riding.
Yeah.
You got a family, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I have. So between, like, I'm divorced. So my wife has 2 kids and I have 6 kids and I have 2 granddaughters. Yeah.
So you guys have 8 kids together?
Yeah, we have 8. Yeah.
Wow. You must have a huge home.
Well, you know, that honestly, I had to plan ahead. I was like, you know what? Okay, I got a lot of kids. If I get married, she's probably going to have some kids. So I better buy a house, you know, that has enough room. So I bought a house that was a 6-bedroom house. It has, you know, room in case we have to throw out some mattresses and to play
that's
like
crazy,
we're camping or something like that. But yeah,
I don't think I've ever met anybody with that many kids, but that's cool. You know what I mean? And so you got a nice big family. So are you guys do a lot of hobbies and a lot of things on the weekends? Like, what do you guys typically do?
You know, I've been blessed to have a lot of good friends, and you know, luckily being from here, I grew up going out to the lake, man. Anybody ever want to go like water skiing or wake surfing? That, you know, just
that's where it's
give
at,
me a
right?
call, man. I'm going. But yeah, no, I love it. And so we go out. I got a buddy of mine who has a you ever done, you know, like the flyboard? You heard of that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Man, I wish I could show you some videos. So a buddy of mine has a nice boat. We go skiing. We take the kids out. They have the tube in the back. They get on. They love that. And then he has this flyboard that's attached to it, like a Sea-Doo, right? Yeah. And so you attach this thing, and he's like, oh, you know, hey, you know, I'm gonna try and do this. You got to balance and everything. And you know, luckily, you know, I grew up doing not gymnastics. I was a tumbler, is what I was growing up, and balance is part of those things that I work on as I'm training. So I'm used to that kind of a balance stuff. I was, you know, doing karate and that kind of stuff. So you're used to.
You look pretty athletic, man.
I
really do.
I've been blessed with that gift of just the athletic side of stuff, you know, and so I'm grateful for that. I wouldn't change anything. But
so you have a lot of things going on, and so you know, when you look at the lake, we're talking about that. You know, lake's coming back. You know, the summer's starting to get here. You know, when the weather's starting to get to that point. You know, I go out to the lake a lot. So, you know, for me, when I go out to the lake, it's always a great experience. But does it feel like when you go out there that seem like that Lake Mead's starting to suffer, right?
You know what? It
does,
is,
right?
It totally is. You know, when you watch, part of that's that water level. You know,
that's what I'm looking at, man.
I remember when I was a kid, it was in the 80s. I'm trying to remember what year. It was like 82, 84, 80, 82, 84, right around there. And the spillways were going over. You know, like the water level was so high, it had so much snow and over multiple years in a row that the water level, you couldn't contain it, just went over the spillways, you know. And I was like, oh man, if we get back to that level, because it's down like 200 feet from then, and it's kind of dangerous levels. You're like, shoot, yeah, I got buddies who are riding their boats or have their boats out there, and they can't see what's going on, and they wind up with a hole in their boat, ruining their props and stuff. So,
well, I think too, man. I think you look at Vegas and you look and see what's going on. So let's talk about the things that I'm starting to see. So there was assembly laws that were put out. There were some laws that were passed, some that weren't. What's interesting is one of the laws was there's a weed lounge that they passed. It looks like that they passed it where you can actually have a lounge where people can go and smoke weed, you know? And I'm not sure if that's going to be something that's going to be looked at as some, you know, into the casinos. I'm not sure where that's going to be, but they approved that, which is kind of weird. They also outlawed ghost guns, right? Those are guns that you put together. So there's some interesting laws, you know, that have come out that are passed just recently. And so it's kind of funny, kind of interesting to see what Vegas is going to turn out. But we look at Vegas, a lot of new things happening. We got a lot of new casinos opening up. Have you been down to the Strip?
You know, I have. I've actually been down there just to go eat and what have you. But also, I have not only that, my partners. I've been down there. And it's kind of a different demographic over the last 6 months to a year that's been hanging out down there on the Strip. And quite honestly, people have been a little scared to go down there because when room rates drop, it's a direct correlation of what kind of clientele show up.
Man, I'm telling you, I had somebody tell me that they saw graffiti down there. graffiti on the strip, right?
Right.
And you got all these people down there. There's cups everywhere. It's like dirty and trash in it. You know, I'm not trying to, deter people from coming to Vegas, but I'm just saying this is what happens when you got to get back on your feet. You got to take the lumps. And unfortunately, getting certain type of clientele probably wouldn't come down to Vegas or stay on the strip.
Agreed.
One of those casinos if this was going on.
Oh, I agree.
So it's interesting.
You know, and that's a direct correlation to the conventions not being here right now. Unfortunately, with what the governor did in shutting things down and not letting some of these conventions come back, which I'm pretty kind of upset because you're putting so many people out of work by doing that. And he could have had some conventions come back, and chose not to. They either left, they went to Tennessee, they went to Texas, went to places, and they're going to happen. So why not have it happen here?
Sure.
You know, when that happens, the room rates go up. You don't have the riffraff on the strip that's going on, and the safety it increases significantly.
Well, look at this. I'm going to show you a quick article. So yesterday I was reading and looking at this. McCarran Airport warns passengers not to accept rides from anyone other than Uber and Lyft. So it says, be safe when leaving the airport. Never accept a ride from anyone who approaches you within the terminal or garage. Instead, find your taxi in the desert. So what are these people doing? Just driving up to, picking people up like, hey, I'll give you a ride. Like, first off, who's checking credentials? Nobody's really checking credentials, right? So
nobody is.
So that's something. And they said that the wait time and the experience for somebody to go through that, people don't even know. They don't even know who they're getting in the car with, but it's an hour and a half. So you got a lot of these people that are sitting there waiting there, and they're just hopping into cars. Imagine if you hopped into the wrong car, right? I mean, that's something that, how do they regulate that, right?
It's a great question. Honestly, I don't even know how you regulate that. Because, I mean, like, I guess common sense would say, hey, don't hop in a car that's not going to be through one of those apps. But we can't control people's common sense either, I mean, like, but
well, it's just it's
and
really,
there is a demand. There's a demand for more. So maybe that's what needs to happen. Is needs to be a push to say, hey, listen, get more drivers out here doing this.
Well, there's got to be something too that regulates the cars that go in there, right? You can't just have like random cars coming up and saying, okay, I'm picking you up. They always have those little things on the dashboard or, hey, this is the style of my car. But you got to think how it's weird because you got the app. And you know what type of car that person has. Do you think like, oh, well, I'm a driver too. I'm just going to hop into a minivan.
Right. No, I know.
It's like, I don't get it, man. So I think that's crazy. So, and the reason you're seeing this is because it's just like we just talked about. People are traveling here now. Planes are constantly coming in. The travel amount of people that's coming to Vegas right now is unbelievable. And I think the Strip's back. I think things are back the way they were, and I also think they're going to start increasing the room rates. But you brought up an interesting point with the win. So what's going on with the win?
So it was interesting. I just saw this last night. I read it. Somebody actually took a picture of this letter. My sister happens to work at the Wynn. She's a dealer at the Wynn as well.
Wow.
And so one of the things it says that, hey, we're requiring all of our employees to be vaccinated by this date here, by April 25th, I think is what it is. And if you so choose not to get the vaccine, then you have to be tested weekly and pay for that test at your expense, to which we'll have a facility on site that you can go to, but you're going to have to pay $15 to have that test done every week. And I go, how is that legal? Yeah. I mean, how is that even like
You're basically forcing somebody to get a shot.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the vaccine shot?
Limit, man, I got to tell you, I am not a believer in, I believe in vaccines, don't get me wrong on certain ones, but I don't believe that we should be forced to put anything in our body.
Right.
I mean, that to me is just, that's our own personal choice. If we don't want to get a vaccine, we take that risk of getting the virus. And if it hurts us, it hurts us. It is what it is.
Or somebody else.
Or somebody else.
You looked at online. I was watching something the other day that you can go online and you can get any type of shot that you want. And they're puzzled here in Clark County because there's so much availability. If you go online and you look at the availability for vaccine shots, you can pick almost any day that you want. And you just keep scrolling down. Nobody's setting these times. So they're concerned because there's not a lot of people that are looking at this vaccine seriously and saying, I need to get it. So do you have people that you deal with that have concern about the vaccine?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, like I have friends, family, or like I don't want to put something in there that we don't know what the long-term effects are.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's a concern across the entire country and maybe even the world. You're seeing some adverse effects now of people that are taking the vaccine.
Some people actually died from it, right?
Absolutely. And you're like, why would I want to do that to myself? I've been healthy. I'm doing the right things. I'm doing all the things I should to keep from it affecting me greatly. Yeah, it might help. It might harm me. But I feel like, okay, hey, it is what it is. That's the risk I'm willing to take because I don't know what the long-term effects are of this vaccine. And the question is, why are they pushing it so hard? Why are they pushing this vaccine so much? What is the deal?
Well, I think, people know that this is something urgent for the elderlies.
Sure.
The people that are older that may get it. I think that's why they're pushing it. Also, it maybe puts people at ease. I guess you would think that if you get the vaccine and more people, if the majority of the population gets this vaccine, then ultimately people are going to be a little bit more comfortable, right?
Sure.
A little bit more easygoing.
Maybe there's herd immunity that comes from that. That's great.
Right.
Okay, fine.
I just think that maybe there should be testing too. Maybe you got to see what's going on. Like if you have, it's a very low number of people that passed away.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you're in the the threat of getting and passing away. But what I'm saying is there's obviously some reason or caution of why people, if it was this detrimental and people were really this concerned, why are they not getting these a list? I mean, it's anytime you want during the day, you can go down there and get the vaccine, but yet there's nobody scheduling these appointments here. I'm a little concerned about that.
Well, I mean, it concerns me if that's the case. I mean, like if it was such a big deal, you'd think that you would have it more organized or more people would be wanting to do that and going down and getting the vaccine. I just don't think that there's the majority of the country that really is like, I really can't wait to get the vaccine. I just don't want to put something that we don't know.
What does your people think about the vaccine? Like, you have a sphere of people around you, and
none of them want it. Not a single one.
Really?
They're like, no, we're not doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So nobody in your family. There's no family.
No.
What about your parents? Your parents are older.
No, my mom is 84. She's like, no, I'm not taking that.
80?
No, not at all.
She's 84 and she doesn't want to take it.
Not at all.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's certain things you can take for it that they say, oh yeah, you can't. It's not going to do it. At the end of the day, I will take my chances, and if I get something, I know different things that I can do to help offset some of the issues that come from it. I take the different things that they say, are supposed to help if you either keep the effects down or whatever. It's like I'd rather go through it and let my body heal. And I get it. Don't get me wrong. I have a cyclist who is a elite cyclist who got it, and he has long COVID. He struggles to walk upstairs now, and it does affect people. I'm not saying that it doesn't affect people. It does, but I'm just not. The numbers don't play. We can walk out the door and get hit by a bus?
It's the luck of the draw, is what you're saying.
It is what it is. Yes, I just would prefer to keep my health the way it is right now and take the risk.
I see.
That's just my choice.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think too. You look at. I got friends that play basketball. I play indoor. One gentleman can't run the same way.
Yeah.
His lungs just don't perform.
Yep.
And so when you look at these things that goes on, you sit there and think, now, is this a genetic thing, or is it a thing that you just random luck that you get this and all of a sudden it's a problem?
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm looking at and why is, if you got them pushing it this much and it's this available, I guess the question is, what is your reason of why you think that, like, what are your thoughts on the vaccine itself? Do you think I know you think it could be harmful. Obviously, that's something you're thinking about. Why do you think the majority of these people are looking at this thing that maybe it's not something that they want to put in their body, or maybe prevent from even future stuff going on?
I just see that people are, we all have this thing called free agency.
Right. Well, it's like Vegas. Vegas right now, you have a lot of people traveling here. Yeah. This is the mecca of if there was something that's going to happen, it's going to happen right here on the strip. There is so many people right now walking the strip.
Yep.
There's nothing that walks around that says, hey, look at my card. I got, if you ask somebody, but that's personal information.
Exactly.
Right? It's very sensitive information.
I feel like we're a part of it is a constitutional thing. Our rights.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more like we're standing up to say, hey, listen, you don't force me to take something put in my body, because my rights are that I get to choose. And sometimes we stand up and just say, that's what I'm going to do. It's like the thing with guns. It's like,
the ghost gun, right?
Like, why? There's
here's what they say about the ghost gun is that they can't track it. It doesn't have a serial number. These ghost guns, and I guess a lot of these guns that are made, they're made where you can't find the actual person that did it. And I'm not saying that that's the case. It's obviously guns don't kill people, people do, right?
Right.
And so they're putting them together. Again, it's something that they have.
So you understand with like ghost guns, these are all these parts, right? But the thing that's actually the gun is that trigger part.
Right.
And that's the thing that is tracked, and there's serial numbers on that. So you can't get those without getting a license. So who cares about all the parts?
I see.
It's that little trigger part that is the gun, and that makes it whether it's a rifle or a pistol, and also some of the parts itself could make it a rifle or an illegal pistol, because you get this and you buy it, hey, that's a pistol. That's
so
what, that's
it's not the
handgun.
part that's actually created where they put them together.
Yeah.
Where it's like they bored out that, a circle out of that piece of metal and they all applied it to. It's actually
trigger.
Where do they get the trigger from then?
So you can buy triggers online, but it has to go to a licensed gun shop, and then like I've done it multiple times, right? And you purchase the whatever it is, they send it to a gun shop. I have to go because I don't have a CCW. I go and I pay the $25 for a background check. Fine. Okay, and then I can get my gun, which is that trigger part, and whatever parts that come with it. The other parts don't matter. You can buy parts. I could get a 3D
so
printer.
Why do they outlaw it then? Is this just an excuse?
It's an excuse. So I mean, like if you look at the numbers, I mean, I listen to a lot of stuff and I'd read a lot of information. I'd look at stats, and there is no correlation between the guns and people owning guns and the deaths and that kind of thing. So you look at the places where they have the most strict gun laws, and you have the highest crime, the highest murders with weapons.
Okay.
Period.
Right.
I don't know what else to tell you. You look at that. It is what it is.
Well, the Biden administration, they came out and said, look, we're going to make this a big publicized thing.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think they want their name attached to something that, hey, we're trying to put gun control in some way. But you think it's really going to deter people from actually doing it still?
No,
it never,
no,
right?
it never does. It never has. And and this is where we got to go back. And unfortunately, people are, they have a tendency to be ignorant about about history. Look at history, and we don't want to repeat history. Look at what happened when guns started to be managed. They started to put gun laws in place back in the 1920s. And then, in other countries, and then eventually they confiscated guns. And what happened? This is about us being able to say, hey, listen, if we get a tyrannical government in there, we need to be able to fight for our rights that were given to us. And that's what the Constitution was set up for. So that doesn't happen. When you have a government that knows that they can control the people because they don't have a way to fight back, they can have ultimate tyranny.
Yeah.
And that's not what we signed up for. This is not why we're in this country. That's not why we have 200,000 people trying to come across the border, right?
Yeah, and that's become a problem. I'm not saying, look, if I was in those shoes, right? We don't know. Everybody's got a different story. I understand you want a better life and all these things. It's just maybe doing it right, in my opinion. But you can't sit there and say, well, I got the answers. People come across because they want a better life. We understand that.
Right.
Just as long as it's regulated properly, it is what it is.
I'm all for that.
But that's a big problem now too, where why is that?
So you got to think about this, okay? When you have so many people, so our infrastructure only allows for a certain amount of growth in a certain period of time. When you have it's all supply and demand, and it comes down to taxes too. Let's go back to that part too, because this is revenue that's generated for the government side. So obviously we know that this is a political reason they want them in there because they want more votes, right?
These are all topics that are affecting Las Vegas.
Oh, absolutely.
This is why I'm bringing these things up. You talk about people coming here. You talk about the gun situation, the ghost gun, and they've passed that law here, right?
Yeah.
That was just something that was passed. It was an assembly. I forgot the number, but that was passed. All these laws are getting passed right now in Las Vegas. So you're seeing a lot of these things. Yeah, things are opening up and we're starting to boom, but we're also seeing the effects of the vaccine,
right?
What's happening with that? A lot more people coming here. Is there more concern about that? You got people that are coming from, just different areas, different places in the world. So explain why that's starting to become an issue when it wasn't an issue, if you have the idea for that.
So my idea is this: if you have it